Very warm welcome to all of you to Georgetown University SFS Qatar this morning. We're absolutely delighted to have you. It's a very important event for us. In fact, it's our fifth. Some of you may not know this, but it's our fifth. Some of you will be veterans, I'm sure. It's our fifth Georgetown Careers fair. So it only makes you think that we've been in business now for 7 years, and that already this is our fifth career. So it kind of feels it's we're sort of getting quite used to this, and very much sort of appreciate the fact that we have corporate partners who've been with us through that whole journey. In terms of, for me, I'll tell you a little bit about my role. I am the Executive Director of Business Development at Georgetown University. It's a new role, and I'll talk about that in a second. But suffice to say, this event is particularly important because it enables us to really bring three key stakeholders together today. One is our corporate partners, and there are many of those. I think at last count, we were sort of looking at somewhere in the region of more than 200 corporate partners that we will engage with in all sorts of ways, particularly graduate recruitment. Secondly, it brings together our students, and you'll meet some of our talented students, no doubt, fairly shortly. We have a student body now somewhere in the region of 230 students. That will, in the next couple of years, sort of ramp up to 300 students as we grow further. But making that connection with our students is another very important activity for us. And thirdly, our alumni. And again, we've got some of our alumni in the room here today. So delighted to see many of our alumni are moving on and being successful in their careers. So sort of bringing together our alumni both as careers managers in their organizations, but also just the opportunity for them to come back and enjoy connecting again with Georgetown University. And again, just in terms of numbers, we have somewhere in the region of, I think it's 123 SFS-Q graduates now who are alumni. So they're a growing and very significant population. And if we looked collectively across the GCC region, we estimate around 350 alumni who are living in the various GCC countries. So 350 take off the 123, and the balance of people who are graduates of Georgetown University's campus in Washington, D.C. So I'm absolutely delighted to really see that this event is becoming an established part of the Doha careers round, the careers calendar. And look forward really with your engagement to sort of build on that, and this to become even more successful and more productive as the years go by. I'll just take the opportunity, if I can, to spend a couple of minutes just really talking about the role of this new function, outreach and business development, which was set up several months ago. And you can see here's a sort of definition of what the function is about. And I'll just sort of read that verbatim to you. Very much founded to consolidate the activities that involve engaging external constituencies, employers being a very important one, alumni, corporations, and other institutions both inside and outside of Qatar. Exploring and developing international education activities. We are in the business of teaching, education and research, and are looking to develop what Georgetown does here particularly, but also in other parts of the region. And really just when we say business opportunities, it's really taking what Georgetown does well, which is educate and finding all sorts of external collaborations. Just looking at the bits in a little bit more detail. Career services, we have 2 career service professionals here now, very much servicing our undergraduates, so the people who are going through that whole journey of 4 years at Georgetown University as an undergraduate, but also conscious of the fact we do have alumni of significant numbers now, and so one of the things we'll be looking to do from the summer onwards is to really provide a career service for our alumni as well. And many people will find 2-3 years into their first job, they're beginning to think again about what direction their career is taking, and providing that service in terms of an ongoing relationship with our alumni, we think is an important thing to do. In terms of how our alumni can give back, and again, this is an appeal to some of you who's sitting in the audience who are alumni. I see a couple of you there. We'll also be looking to launch a more formalized career mentoring program. those of you who've gone into the world of work, I think have a lot to tell those who are still contemplating going into the world of work as to what to find. Obviously, you'll be incredibly networked, through having studied together, but also now working with a slightly different group of people. So, like all good institutions, career mentoring I think is an important thing we now need to build into what we do as a university. Providing admission support, and again, I'm a very firm believer that the people who sell a university better than anyone else are its alumni. When somebody comes along and can actually talk to somebody who's been there, actually experienced it, I think you add that greater level of credibility. And of course, just in all sorts of ways, sort of emotionally and just in terms of sort of networking, the ability to kind of connect back to the alma mater. So our alumni relations function will be concentrating particularly on those activities. Community outreach, and I see that again as a sort of twofold activity. One is bringing more and more people into this campus here. We have this beautiful campus. How accessible is it to the public at large? So through events, through using our library, any excuse, whatsoever to bring people in so they experience Georgetown University, in Education City. But also, secondly, going out to the community and kind of building grassroots awareness with the community. So, education programs, going into schools, getting people who are young to kind of experience what studying at Georgetown University may be. And again, I would encourage you, not only as people in positions of responsibility in your own organizations, but also, citizens of Doha to give us your thoughts and ideas on how we can, better connect with the community at large. Corporate engagement. We have quite a few companies who are coming to us, and we want to also go to targeted companies and saying, what can you do around executive education? You provide all sorts of educational opportunities for your students, but what about providing educational opportunities for our managers, our executives, and other employees? So we're keen to develop relationships in that regard. The opportunities for joint research are very significant in Qatar as well. 2.8% of the GDP of the country is going to be spent on serious research. And I think that does provide very good opportunities for academic institutions to partner with companies to carry out serious research. There's a funding availability there, and it just really needs good ideas from the business world to connect with good academic rigor from the universities to enable some very, very sort of very, very important and productive research to be carried out. And I'm sure you've seen various sort of press coverage in the last year or so as to how the state of Qatar really is sort of gearing up its efforts in terms of wanting to carry out world-class research. CSR partnerships, again, as the country grows and changes, more and more companies are looking at universities, education as an area to put CSR dollars forward, and we look to providing that opportunity. So it's not just sports events that get sponsored, but cultural events, educational activities, etc., etc. So another area where we seek dialogue, maybe with yourselves, maybe with your marketing department in the future. And I've sort of alluded to this before, program development, and there's a whole way in which we can diversify, and we are diversifying what we do currently. But bear in mind, Georgetown University is a very kind of diverse and sort of multi-subject university in the United States of America. So one of the things we are keen to do is to bring different parts of Georgetown University here, and again to partner with companies and think tanks in terms of kind of really leveraging the sort of total university educational package that Georgetown University offers. So I'm going to sort of move on a little bit here. I've alluded to this, but we're very keen to sort of really understand what your wants and needs are better. I've given out my business cards to Renee and Meghana, please connect with me, but also please, very importantly, connect with both Charles and Renee, who are members of the outreach and business team, to really start giving us feedback on what you kind of want or need in terms of developing relationships for the future. One thing I'll say about myself, if I may indulge just for a second, is that my background is ostensibly having worked in the business world. So the last sort of 20 odd years prior to coming into academia, I spent in business life, and furthermore, most of that time was spent as a human resource professional. I've worked as a human resource director for multinational companies in 3 continents now, and I think therefore, if anything, I have some ability to understand what an employer is looking for in terms of recruitment needs. In fact, the first 6 years of my career with Unilever was very much focused on Unilever's graduate recruitment program, and understanding that employers need people with particular skills and competences to be effective in their organisation, and what is the best and most cost-effective way of doing that. So, I do welcome, seeing it from the employer's perspective. I think it's very important that we get to have more than just careers fairs, but we have an ongoing discussion as to what your wants, needs, competencies are to fix your business problems in the future. Final point on this, I think there's nothing like getting experience as well. And one thing if I would observe in terms of the Qatari marketplace compared to maybe some of the other parts of the world now, is that relatively few people take opportunities here to undertake internships in businesses. And I think that's really important, that people get some experience of what they're going to make a fairly significant, time and career investment in the future. So we're keen to, develop any opportunities for people to get longer term on-the-job experience through things like internships, or even short-term opportunities to sort of go out and spend days or afternoons with different companies, so they get a feel not only for what the job is, but what the organizational culture is. So it's just some thoughts there on how do we make this sort of more productive, particularly in the Qatari context, where I say we don't have a particularly well-developed culture of people taking internships prior to taking graduate level jobs. The other thing very keen to do is to have you guys come in and talk on a regular basis to our students, and tell them about the world of PricewaterhouseCoopers or Qatar Airways or any of the other employees, the type of jobs that you're offering, getting into the detail maybe even of how a selection process works to be able to get into a graduate level position in your organization, and what the training and development opportunities and career opportunities are beyond that. And I think we would be the first to admit we would like to do a much better job of inviting you into our university here to be part of that sort of that discussion that goes on to help people make much more informed decisions about what is really a very important aspect of your life. You spend 4 years here, but in theory you're going to spend another 30 odd years pursuing a career path. So making good, well-informed decisions, I think, is really important. Getting a job here is not hard, but getting the right job, I would say, is something that's very important. So my final thoughts, and these are my views and opinions, which have a great deal of subjectivity, but I'll give them to you anyway, because Renee will talk more specifically in a minute about the curriculum that we offer and how it produces knowledge and skills in certain areas. But from my view is, and this is relatively simple, I think in general, elite universities tend to produce talented graduates. That stands for reason, doesn't it? That, in a sense, the higher end of the kind of educational order are more likely to, be educationally successful, and there's a fairly good chance they'll also be organizationally effective as well. And Georgetown is a very good university. It's one of the top universities in the world. So I think in terms of the talent pool here, we are producing people who will be some of the most impactful graduates that we'll see entering the labour market in Qatar. But I think importantly, in terms of whatever knowledge and skills you acquire through in the classroom, there's a whole bunch of actually behavioural competencies as well that come with that as well. And I'm going to generalise, but I think one of the things I would observe about Georgetown University graduates is the following: ability to solve complex problems, the type of education, the liberal arts education that people undergo very much, and the sort of small group tutorial approach very much supports the development of those skills. Highly developed work ethic. You don't survive Georgetown University, and hopefully the alumni will back me up on this, by being somebody who doesn't have a strong work ethic. It's tough, it's rigorous, and I think if you display those skills in the classroom, you know, that gets you in the right mood for for tough and challenging work in the workplace. I think people are generally emotionally intelligent. It's a good maturing sort of period in people's lives. Definitely team players. Strong level of cultural awareness. It's a very multinational, multicultural environment that people grow up in here before coming to Georgetown, but Georgetown, I think, also develops that further, particularly when you bear in mind that 1/3 of the students coming here are actually coming from overseas. So it just adds that whole sort of multicultural sort of environment, which is going to be very important in terms of the jobs and careers that people go into in the future. And finally, I'll just mention strong values. Georgetown is underpinned by very strong values. It has Jesuit values, and irrespective of your kind of religious calling, those values underpin things like giving back, service to others, etc., etc. And I think, people in general who have those values on a personal level are also often very successful in their working and business lives. So that's my kind of sales pitch, if you will, for the type of competencies that you will find in Georgetown graduates. And I'll hand over at that point to Renee, who'll talk in a little bit more detail as to what we're able to offer.
Okay. Thanks, Jonathan. Have you got the... Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about our specific program in order to provide some context for the panel discussion, which we will be moving into shortly. And so what is a BSFS? Despite the title of my presentation, it is geared both towards our students in the audience, our alumni, and indeed our employers. I hope it'll help our students and our graduates learn how to market their degree and bring greater understanding to the specific skills and knowledge base of our graduates for the benefit of our prospective employers. As I said, I hope it'll provide a good context for our panel discussion. So really, what value do our graduates bring to the workplace? First and foremost, the BSFS is our Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service. That is the one degree program that we offer here at Georgetown. It's a very unique degree. There's truly nothing like it in the world. All of our students are required to follow a core curriculum in their first 2 years of study, which essentially is the equivalent of an international relations major anywhere else in the world. We like to highlight that within that, they are required to take a minimum of 4 economics courses. They take microeconomics, macroeconomics, international trade, and international finance. The latter of the two, which are upper division econ courses that only an economics major would take in any other university. Our students have the choice between 3 majors, and they select their major following that first 2 years of their core curriculum. This year, I'll go over them. Our current majors are international politics, culture and politics, international economics, of which we'll graduate our first class of majors this spring. And in September, we'll be introducing an international history major. We like to highlight also the strength of this multidisciplinary curriculum. It's a liberal arts curriculum with a very global scope. We highlight here that the Edmund Day Walsh, who's the founder of the School of Foreign Service at our main campus, believed that the problems of the world are too big to solve with the tools of any one discipline. So in addition to the emphasis on economics, which I alluded to earlier, the curriculum is on history, politics, economics, literature, philosophy, religion, and culture. And the result is that our students can see any issue from a wide variety of perspectives. So essentially, what do we focus on within our program that then translates into the workforce? there's an emphasis on the written and oral communication, which effectively allows our students to communicate solutions to problems. The emphasis on research and documentary analysis translates directly into their communication is accurate and grounded in reality. They have strong interpretation skills, which gives them the ability to comprehend and articulate solutions to bring about consensus. They're encouraged to use creative and original thought, which ensures that their solutions will be novel and appropriate. And of course, as Jonathan alluded to, they have an awareness of world politics, history, culture, and economics that allows them to be at the forefront of globalization. So where do our graduates work? It's fair to say that they work everywhere. This is just a snapshot of some recent data that we've collected. It is a representative sampling of what our Qatar alumni do following graduation. And as you can see, there's a number of different industries represented here. And in terms of the roles that they pursue, we find them pursuing positions as business analysts, contract engineers, policy and research analysts, management consultants, and director of publishing. So when we look at similar data from our main campus, our School of Foreign Service graduates are educators, financiers, business leaders, politicians, social entrepreneurs, journalists, and even a few diplomats. Of note from our Associate Dean of Students, the U.S. Foreign Service has more SFS grads than any grads from any other school combined. So that's a kudos to our program. And you'll find them in careers such as government relations, campaigns and fundraising, economic analysis, project management, grant writing and development, communications and media, corporate social responsibility, legal affairs, public relations, research and development, protocol management, policy and strategy, and business consulting. I also like to highlight the focus on experiential learning that our students are provided during their 4 years here with us. They're offered a wealth of opportunities to participate in various research projects going on, both student-led research, our faculty research, and indeed a lot of the research that they partake in does have direct relevance to the community that we're living in. I would say the majority of our students also participate in one of the many service learning opportunities. We have programs such as our zones of conflict and zones of peace, where they visit an area where it's experiencing conflict. They look at it prior to their visit, they look at it from the sort of academic and research perspective, and then they actually go and they experience the situation on the ground, meeting with key stakeholders to really learn more about the situation. Our service learning trips also partner with groups like the Red Crescent, Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, so our students are constantly giving back in that regard. They participate in various crisis simulations, which allows them to really put practical application to what they're learning in the classroom. And of course, through our many student clubs and organizations, gives them an abundance of skills in terms of leadership, time management, event management, public speaking, the list goes on and on. And finally, which helps flow into the reason we're here, of course, internships and work placements. I think it's fair to say that the majority of our students have either or both of these upon graduation. So I'd now like to invite our 4 panelists to join me on the stage here. Do you want to have a seat here and here? Can I sit on the end here, Will?
Oh, sure.
The focus is on you guys and not me. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to participate with us. I just want to remind the audience that the overall goal of our panel is to really provide a platform of interactive dialogue between our local employers, our students, and our alumni. I hope that it'll be able to highlight some of the following: the needs and requirements of the current market and specific industries in terms of the talent and how best to address those needs. We'll also be looking at the value of partnerships, and certainly gaining student and alumni perspective on their experience in the workplace, either through internships or in their current careers. So I'll quickly introduce our panelists. We have with us today Isa Abdullah from Vodafone Qatar.
Hello, everybody.
Isa is the HR manager, Qatarization, and we first met, I guess, about a month ago.
Yeah.
Isa approached me in order to, hoping to promote their graduate program and some employment opportunities that they have. But Georgetown has engaged with Vodafone on a number of other initiatives in the past. Isa was also influential in helping us connect with some of our colleagues from main campus when they came to visit. And Georgetown has also been involved in Vodafone's World of Difference program. And one of our alumni was also very influential in working on their corporate social responsibility initiatives. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We also have with us Aisha Al-Shriam, from the head of human resources from Standard Chartered Bank. And Standard Chartered are phenomenal supporters of Georgetown, attending many of our outreach initiatives and a valued corporate partner. So in addition to including our students and graduates in their recruitment efforts, Standard Chartered and SFS-Q have explored the possibility of having some of their key senior economists and other members of their organization come and speak at Georgetown. So we really appreciate your support today. Thank you. We also have with us, kind of performing a dual role, Tara Makaram. She's a member of our graduating class from 2011, and she's now in advisory consulting with PwC. And again, she's one of our primary alumni ambassadors. She's helped to give our graduates a positive and strong reputation at PwC. And she, again, serves as an alumni ambassador in both formal and informal contexts. Obviously representing at the career fair, she has participated in some of our admissions activities, and she's always willing to do some one-on-one with students who are interested in pursuing management consultancy as a career. So thanks, Tara. And last but not least, we have with us Will Chaw. Will is a member of the class of 2013, so he'll graduate in May. And he's currently serving his second term as the president of our Student Government Association. He will be graduating with the International Economics degree this coming spring. And Will's resume is full of successful internships and work placements, and he's currently conducting one of the most comprehensive job searches I've ever seen in my life. So I feel he's an excellent representative of our student body on this panel. So now that you know our panelists, I'll launch right into it. I'd like to start by posing a couple of questions to our corporate reps. What are the set of skills or talents that your industry is looking for in recruitment efforts?
Ladies first.
In Standard Chartered Bank in general, I think we know talent when we see it. So it doesn't matter what your program that you're graduating from. We are considering any specialization or any kind of skill set that fresh graduate will actually bring in to the workplace. If you're interested in banking, we actually help you and shape your future in banking. A graduate program that we've got a very unique graduate program, I think, in Standard Chartered Bank, and is something that is not only unique that we've built over last couple of years. We've got a very proven records in the 71 markets that we're existing in terms of developing graduates, particularly here in Qatar. Our graduate program is a very important program within the bank. First of all, we don't distinguish our employees in terms of nationalities, but we do focus on Qataris as a part of the development that we play within Qatar. We've got different committees that we engage graduates in the bank. We look towards graduates in bringing in just fresh kind of feedback that would always help our businesses in improving, whether it's wholesale banking, consumer banking, or even other support functions within the bank. So we don't have a particular skill set that we are eager to recruit within the bank. We do recruit any graduate that we think is talented. we do seize the opportunity and grab them, employ them within the bank.
So kind of looking for raw talent, and then you can really cultivate that and help them figure out where their strengths will
It
be
is
best
actually,
used.
I think the bank that I'm in is provides a great learning experience to anyone that would actually consider learning. It's a vast variety of programs and initiatives that they can involve from the day one. So if you're actually interested in learning, it is, I think, the right place.
Great.
To build on that, I would say, I mean, one of the stories that we have in Vodafone, so we recruited a graduate who studied philosophy, and actually today he's doing marketing. I think he will be here, Maruf is there. So I think it is same thing. What we look at is a student who graduated with the right university, for sure, and as well as how his journey was in the university. Is he was a team player, is he was gain a skill set that will help us to develop him. And then at the end of the day, it will be the can-do attitude and the anger of learning. And this is where, you know, a company such Vodafone can play a big role into that, is we take whatever major you are in, you go through a 12-month program that where you will rotate in different functions, and then at the end of that you choose where is the function that you can be, you will build your career upon that. And it will be mentored by the executive director and all these sort of things. So there is a lot of good things about that a lot of graduates, we understand that they don't know where I want to be and stuff like that. So we're giving them the opportunity to choose where they want to be and build your career upon that, and not to be comprehensive that, okay, you have to go in finance. And this is where a lot of things sometimes goes wrong and not motivating the right people and stuff like that.
Certainly.
Yeah.
My goodness, you're saying students don't know what they want to do when they get older. I think that's safe for a lot of us to say we're more further along in their careers.
Yeah.
So both of you do have these graduate recruitment programs. Do you have any specific examples of experiences you've had with recent recruits, and how, Aisha, you mentioned that they often belong to different committees that give them exposure to different areas. Any specific, and Aisha, it was great to hear that you had the philosophy graduate moving into marketing.
Yeah.
Any other specific examples of how you've helped to integrate recent graduates into the workplace?
So I think the example that I give, we launched the graduate program 3 years ago, or 2 years ago actually, when Maruf joined us. So he was the first one, and to be honest, at that time, there was a lot of engagement from us to get more people. However, it was very successful in terms of how we integrated Maruf into different function, and he rotated in different core function in Vodafone, and he chose marketing, and he will offer the job there, and now he's become a professional, I would say, in marketing. And this is a very great story to understand that somebody coming from completely different domain, studies and stuff, but however, he has the skill sets of research, he has the skill sets of going and finding information, teamwork, and with the great, I think, opportunity with mentoring and coaching in the organization, he raised a star, and this is where things goes right all the time. And also we do provide internship. So this year we have, let's say, for example, 14 projects internship. And this is where, for me, it is like it's a gate. All right? We will observe them, we'll see them how they can deliver projects, and we will keep our relationship for future perspective when they graduate.
Exactly.
And this is how things will work. And internship for us, it is actually delivering a project that you can see. And one of the projects is, it might be launching a product in the market. So the student really can see he's delivering something.
Yeah, it's an excellent experience.
This is where we're going for.
Aisha, have you noticed that there's any particular challenges that you have as the employer helping to integrate new hires into the workforce?
I think integration is a great part of any graduate program. Graduates come in very eager and trying to apply the expertise or knowledge in solving real-world problems. And as part of that process, there is a socialization process that is, through which the graduate would actually know more about the role that the graduate is doing, and at the same time understands the expectations of him at that particular role. It is an entry-level role for graduates. Attitude, as Isa was saying, is a very important factor in that process. And very importantly, it is not a time-based program, it's a performance-based program.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter whether, it takes you it takes 6 months for some people and it takes 2 years for some people.
Sure.
It doesn't really matter as long as you grasp whatever is required for you to perform the duties of the job. We also provide opportunities for students student sponsorship. We do sponsor students on the first or second years of study. We don't actually, it's part of giving back to the society. We don't make it mandatory to graduates to come and work with the bank after they graduate. We do that as part of, developing youth locals. This is one thing, and we are also very excited about internship programs. We offer internship opportunities in the multiple departments within the bank. And internship programs are actually very important, as internship opportunities put you in the eyes of the organization. It gives you a very great opportunity to gain confidence at workplace, and I think this is where you would actually maybe kind of decide on your career development in the future.
Yeah.
Most of our internship programs ended up with employment. As I said before, we know talent when we see it. We grab these students, before they, go back to the universities and, find jobs elsewhere. We've got something unique, I think, that we're very proud of in Standard Chartered worldwide. We've got what we call the International Graduate Program, or what we call the IG program. If you are mobile and if you are willing to get business exposure, you actually go through a rotation program, not only in Standard Chartered Qatar, but in the 71 countries that we exist in. It starts, it is actually a very specified programs. And we've got also here, we fly down from Dubai, the person who looks after the international graduates trying to recruit for the IG program here in Georgetown today.
Great.
I think this is a great opportunity that we did not have a couple of years ago. If you are mobile and if you are really interested in getting real business exposure worldwide, this is where you need to start.
Great. So
we've got so many examples. We've got some Qataris that they are based in, for example, Standard Chartered Singapore. We've got some Qataris that are based in Standard Chartered Dubai, and they are actually, they don't come back to Qatar and go back to Singapore. No, they are actually, based there.
Right.
So I think these are kind of live success stories that we've got with some of our graduates.
And it's great to know that you have people that our students can talk to today about those experiences.
Absolutely.
Great.
And just to add, in terms of the challenges of integrating, I think if you recruit the right person with the right values and stuff like this, everything will be easier. And I believe that we have great students in Qatar that they graduate and stuff like this. They need the right explanation in terms of where they putting their feet on. Yeah, they need to understand the company that they're going for, the vision of the company. The companies, and unfortunately, there's a lot of. I think they don't understand even why they exist.
Right.
All right. So, and that make it difficult to inspire fresh graduates that he has ambition and visions and stuff like that, and he wants to deliver.
Want to involve them in the culture
and that
of the
helps a lot,
organization.
to be honest, when you integrate them into the business and stuff.
Great. I'd like to turn it over now to Tara and Will. Maybe you could provide some feedback on either one of your internship experiences or as you started your first position. What was your experience like? What were some of the challenges that you faced?
I think the biggest challenge was a step before that, and it's actually deciding where you want to go, what career you want to pursue. And I think it's the biggest issue because of how broad our background is, and because we feel that we're malleable enough to fit into many different career paths. That choosing one and identifying one, it actually comes to a point where I have to make the decision. And I think that's one of the toughest parts of transitioning from student to.
And do you feel that you've been able to address that? Are you still struggling with that challenge, or?
No, I mean right now I'm definitely where I want to be in my career, but something a challenge that you have is kind of identifying what does a career mean. That you find that I think it comes to a point where you have to realize that there's a big difference between a job and a career, and some opportunities offer you careers, whereas other opportunities are just jobs.
Right.
And that's something that you need to come to terms with and to deal with, in that transition period. And right now, where I am, I feel like I'm on a career path, not just in a job. Whether it's exposure, whether it's vertical kind of mobility growing within the company, or even down the future if I want to grow just within the industry and so forth. And so that's something that I think is very key, but that's also a challenge to be able to identify what a career is, what kind of career I want.
So was there a critical moment or experience that allowed you to kind of make that first step, okay, it's going to be consulting?
I actually, before working in consulting, I worked in government. I worked in government for almost half a year. And it was exactly what I wanted to do in terms of a job description. I wanted to work in international development, and my job was all development oriented. But then that was my kind of turning point, because I realized that I worked for GSDP first, the General Secretariat for Development Planning. And the work that they do is great work in terms of Qatar's vision and going forward and moving forward. But I realized that this isn't where I will benefit the most at this point in life. That if I was going to be here, where will I be in 5 years? Probably in the same spot, because it wasn't, a career path for me. And that's when I realized I moved into consulting, because, rather from such an early point in life, such an early stage of my career, to kind of look at development from such a macro level, I realized, if I go down, more grassroots level, more project-oriented level, see how things are actually formed on the ground, that would give me a much better grasp in terms of where I want to move into the future.
Great.
Well, I don't have too much to add to what Tara said. I mainly seconded what I wanted. I do want to emphasize the importance, I guess, of internships. One of the internships I had was with Standard Chartered in South Korea, Seoul. I interned for 4 months, and then it was as a summer analyst in the investment banking division, equity derivatives. And as a fresh graduate, I mean, I'm not a fresh graduate yet, but a soon-to-be graduate, there should be heavy emphasis on internship, both on the student's perspective and also on the industry perspective, because it's a win-win situation. You don't have to pay interns. Even if you do pay, the pay is minimal. It doesn't affect your balance sheet anyway.
Sure.
It's minimal. As students, you want that experience anyway, and you get to gain knowledge about not only the industry but also the firm or the house you're in. And it's not necessary that you actually have to do much in terms of contributing to the company as an intern, but it's important to at least get a feel of how the company runs, what the industry feels like, what the house really means to you and the society, and how it's correlated to perhaps the degree you're earning. So in that sense, I do want to place heavy emphasis on internship. Yep.
So it sounds like you had a fairly positive experience. Do you see any areas where organizations, sort of on the whole, could improve upon their internship, the intern experience they provide, and how they integrate interns into the workplace?
I mean, the concept of internship really varies depending on the industry and also, of course, on the country. So I'll talk specifically about Qatar. I mean, Qatar is unique in terms of its dimension of workforce, and also the composition and dimension of its workforce, and that Qatarization plays a huge role. And in that sense, I wouldn't say conflicting, but Qatar definitely has to play a better role, has to do better in terms of actually integrating the international workforce, because it has a vision. And mainly because it has a vision. If you have a vision, you got to follow your vision. The 2030 vision, it encourages and it wants Qatar to develop as an international player, and as to develop as an international player, it has to incorporate as one of the main development projects, which is Qatar Foundation Educating City. And graduating from there, one of the best way to integrate right upon graduation is via internship or full-time. And you don't want to lose the workforce, the international workforce that's staying in Qatar or studying in Qatar. And the best way really is for that to happen is through an internship or some other ways in which you can engage with people already in the industry, both as national or as an international student. And internships are important in a sense that, well, it's important in a sense that you get to talk to people, and that's the most invaluable experience I gained. And simply by the fact that you can talk, you can gain a tremendous experience in terms of what the industry feels like and all that jazz.
Just to add on that, of course, internships are a great way to experience different fields before committing to something. But to make the internship experience more beneficial, I think, to both the employers and to the students, I think something that is slightly lacking in this culture is an internship orientation kind of program. Because a lot of interns go into their job, my experience with my internships, you go into an internship and you don't know what this means, where it's going to end, how long it will be, what your job role is, what your expectations should be. You know, so a lot of the time you go in and you're enthusiastic and you have all these expectations to what you can contribute and what your role would be, but the reality of it's very different.
Right.
And I think kind of orienting interns into this into their internship programs would really kind of help direct the interns into.
Absolutely. And what about evaluation? Did you feel that there was ample feedback following your internships? Was there an opportunity for you to share your experiences and vice versa, so that you could get some constructive feedback?
I mean, my experiences with my internships, the two that I've done were, I'd get a letter at the end saying, thank you, this is a recommendation letter if you need it for the future, and so on. That was kind of it. Again, this is probably also the orientation and then the evaluation.
So essentially making it more professional overall.
More structured, if anything. So again, it helps manage expectations of interns.
Okay. And again, to Will and Tara, how do you feel that your experience at Georgetown is preparing you, or did prepare you, to enter the workforce? And particularly, if we can relate it back to some of the skills I tried to highlight that a liberal arts degree equips you with.
I think most important is the fact that right now the world's changing. The nature of the business world, or just the professional world in general, has become very multidisciplinary. And I think to be well prepared for multidisciplinary real world, you need a multidisciplinary background. And I think that's probably the best thing that Georgetown gave me. Right now, if you need, it's no longer, if you have a background that's information-based, you're going to function just in that context of the information that you learned. But now with access to information, it's kind of irrelevant, or it's more or less, what you really need is how to process that information. You can Google it, but then what do you do with it once you have it? And I think that's kind of the skill set that Georgetown really gives you, a very transferable skill set that you can apply practically everywhere. Because it's, you can get the information, it's very easy right now. But then once you do it, how you use it, how you process it, and then how you apply it, whether it's to solve problems, whether it's to do research in, any field basically.
And then adding to what Tara said, I think the importance in our degree is that we learn how to do it. We don't learn what to do it. In a sense that if you go into finance, or if you go into investment banking, you go into consulting, you go into tax advisory, or whatever you go into, the specifics you need as a consultant or whatever you need in the industry, you can learn at the company. And it doesn't take a genius to learn that. But what is important is a core set of values you actually learn in the university. If you have strong work ethics, I mean, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, the kind of person you're looking for is kind of similar, unless you're looking for a very technical job. And that's my humble opinion. And in that sense,
I agree with you.
In that sense, I believe that the BSFS degree really trains you well enough as a right person or with the right aptitude.
Yeah, and just a small addition to that is, even right now, if I'm a consultant, but I think if you look at all the different consultancy companies, they all do things differently anyways. So even if I had to, education consulting, everything I will need to do at my job, I'm going to learn at my job anyways. So it's what you really...
It's really that ability to learn, and as we said,
yes,
comprehend,
ability to learn, your
compute.
communication skills. I think you went over them earlier. Kind of interpretation, communication, problem solving. Those are the things that actually help a lot.
Right. I'm conscious of time. I think earlier both of you touched on the value that you're really looking for, graduates with a broad background and looking for that sort of raw talent with the right attitude and the strong work ethic. I'd like to give you a chance to say something else, but I'm also conscious I'd like to open it up to the audience. Did you have any final remarks?
I would just like to say one thing, that it is culturally challenged that we need to change a lot of things. So what you said before about the internship, it is a new thing for Qatar and stuff. So Vodafone Qatar, for example, today we have part-time jobs. Yeah? So part-time job, it is, if I open part-time job, there will be thousands of people coming to you. He can do his studies while he's gaining an experience at work. And he's gaining also a reward. So it is perfect. So this is where we I think through the universities, you guys need to sort of like market sort of the ability of people to go out of the box and think about, okay, how you can do part-time jobs, how you can go for internship, how you can go for corporate with your project, and they will sponsor it, they might be, They need to have this kind of, it is culture change between, I think we need to work together to build this kind of culture between the students and the corporate companies that we have in Qatar and stuff like that. And this is where the 2030 vision is all about, how we develop the nation, how we develop the generation, and change the mindset that we have. It's not about, spoon feeding is very easy, but today I think we want the people to be going and searching and finding and doing stuff. It's not like our days, to be honest, So we were very spoon feeding and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I always say to the young guys that work hard while you're young so that you can relax when you're older. And this is how the life should be.
Thank you. And that really speaks to, again, the objectives that we're trying to achieve in outreach and business development here, to really bridge that academic and corporate environments, and also cross-disciplinary, cross-industry as well. Well, again, I'd like to thank the participants. This was a very, very informative discussion. This is really building on that dialogue we were hoping to achieve. Again, the rest of our students are going to be anxious to be able to meet with you, but we would like to give you a chance to have some lunch, which will be right outside here. The career fair itself is set to start promptly at 12:30, but again, we're not too formal here, so please enjoy your lunch, and you'll expect to see the crowds showing up at about 12:30 at the booths. So thank you very much.